hope it's not too late. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Can you help me change?
Everything else can wait. Give me you. I hope not too late. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Everything else can wait. Give me you. I hope it's not too late. Lord, give me you.
If you believe that, can you come on and stand up on your feet and give God praise?
Everything else can wait. But give me you. I hope not too late. Lord, give me you.
Lord, give me you.
Lord, give me you. Lord, give me you. Lord, give me
If you believe that, can you just give God praise right where you are? God, everything else can wait, God. God, just give me more of you, Jesus. One more time for me. She go. Give me you. See, she don't know she blessed me when she sung this song. Give me you. Oh, it's not too late. Lord, give me you.
everything else can
today. We honor the Lord, and to each and every one of you, to all the ministers, all of you who are here today, we thank God for you. Those who may be listening and looking through the streaming networks, we appreciate you and thank you for your support. We thank God for being God today, all by himself. As we've been talking, and I mentioned to you about how we started out the year, and even Minister Mario did a message on prayer, and I said, Sister Marilyn always say whatever her subject is prayer. And I said, well, we're going to try to continue with faith to keep you motivated and uplifted during the times that we're in. And it's still telling the house about the house, because you can look and see, are you there yet? Are you there yet? Oh, that's a message all about itself. That'll be for another week. Amen. Yeah. So we are going to a very familiar story. We talked about it once before, because the word is just the word. We're just going to come at it from a different angle this time, and it's coming out of 2 Kings, the 6th chapter. And when you are by yourself, you can read the whole thing, but you can read verses 8 down through the end, or down through 17 if you like. But we're just going to talk a little bit and tell you we're going to stop at 17. But just a little background from 8 up to that point. The king of Syria was warring against Israel, as is often the case. But every time they went to do something, it seemed like it was told to them, so they avoided it. And he couldn't understand why. Who thought it was a traitor among them. But somebody said, no, it's that prophet Elijah, that God man. He's the one telling them. So when we go there, they are not there. So here we are at verse 14. He gets a little angry with Elisha and said, okay, I got a trick for him. I'm going to kill him. So they plotted to kill him. So getting into verse 14, he sent chariots and a great army by night and surrounded the city where Elisha was. Then it got to verse 15, and it said one of Elijah's servants, he saw, when he got up the next morning, he saw all these chariots out there, and he came running to his master and said, oh, look what we're going to do. We got all these chariots of folk around us trying to kill us. So now we're going to start at 2 Kings 6 and 16. When he told Elisha that, Elisha answered and said, fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And then verse 17, he said, and Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes, we're coming back there again, that he may see. And then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elijah. Yes, if we had a thought today, it would be, Lord, open our eyes. Help us to see what you already know. God, help us to see what you already know. My God, my God. Oftentimes we see things, however we see them is how we react to them. And this causes us to be either overly anxious or fearful or angry with the situation, or just to be content. It's how we see it. So I'm not getting angry with the young man, because he, like some of us, if we were to tell the truth, have sometimes gotten a little shaken by what we see and what we hear is going on. So here, by looking at things in the natural, yeah, we can see the hopelessness of our situation, just like he saw of theirs. We cannot see any way out. And it looks like we're surrounded and don't have a chance for survival. But looking at that same situation in the spiritual, the enemies are the ones surrounded. Because you remember that 17th verse, when your eyes came open, he said, whoa. They're the ones who don't have a chance. They that are with us are more than they that be with them. For greater is he that is in us than he that's in the world. Just remind you of the example in the natural that we've heard down through the years about glass either being half full or half empty. It's all in how you see it. It's all in how you look at it. It's the same amount of water in the glass, but is it half full or half empty? It's our perspective on things. And I mentioned last week we want to keep it all in perspective. So what is perspective, and then what makes it we want to do the proper perspective? Perspective can be defined as a particular attitude or way of looking at something. In brief, it's a point of view or an outlook. Now, the word proper, I know it's subjective, and but the thing about proper is it has three components. It's based on the individual, based on the situation itself, and that individual's, here's another P word, perception of the situation. So when we talk about perception, we're talking about the ability to see, to hear, to interpret and understand something, but it's filtered through our senses. So, I thought we were talking about Bible. I'm talking about the Bible. I'm getting there. I got to build to it. So we are talking about perception. I want to tell you how to look at life, the practical aspects of living. So perception is a process of our minds by which our senses are filtered. They're sometimes modified. The information is sometimes totally changed in order to bring meaningfulness to us. And what that says is sometimes it's based on our past. It's based on our experiences. It's colored by our educational level. It's colored by our geographical area. Sometimes people in the north think a little different than people in the south. Yeah. Sometimes the East Coast is different than the West Coast. Yeah, sometimes it's based on our age. I know the young folk will look at us, grandmamas, and say, "Oh, you don't understand. You don't know what I'm going through. Oh, that was way back then. Because there's an age difference. And what's been placed in our mind, is different than what's in your mind. It's based on gender. Sometimes men think differently than women. And women think differently than men. So we have to realize all of this has been filtered through our mental process to give us our perception of how we're seeing things. One quote said that the eyes see what the mind knows. So whatever's in the mind, that's what our eyes see. That's why when this young man looked out and saw this